Welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who have overcome or those who are overcoming any life topic. We have three objectives with this podcast series. One is we want everyone to know that irrespective of whatever you are experiencing in life, there are multiple solutions to whatever it is you're experiencing. It's a matter of thinking into and thinking through the life experience and devising various options to choose from to help you through and overcome whatever you're experiencing. Our second objective is to let you know that there are multiple people who are willing to help you through anything that you're experiencing. Very likely there are any number of us who have experienced exactly what you're experiencing, and we want to share our insights with you with lessons learned that we have gained from a life experience that we have endured. Our third objective is we want to help you develop critical thinking skills. If you're experiencing something in life that is a result of a decision that if you had a life redo, you would make a different decision, we want to help you with developing those critical thinking skills such that you can analyze the facts and factors involved in whatever decision you want to make such that you can make a more informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, the founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty. The Cooper Culture is sponsoring this podcast series. We're featuring today Corey Green for the 7th episode. You have experienced his life and various challenges that he has gone through. We certainly encourage you to listen to episodes 1 through 6. Today we're talking about distractions and his perspective of distractions and how he has overcome different things. Marty, what are some takes that our listeners can gain from listening to Corey?
Today was a great podcast with Corey and how he talked to us about distractions and what distractions can do to you. He pointed out in one area that a child or a person growing up in a very negative environment in a home, nothing but negative and no encouragement. But once that child is grown and able to leave, they have the ability to overcome all of the negative and put the positive in front of them and succeed in life.
Yes, and Marty, it takes a discipline to do that, and that sometimes some people are overcome by and have their life potential completely overshadowed by various things that are happening in the family, various distractions. But let's listen to Corey, some of the very valuable insights he has into how to overcome distractions. Corey, thank you so much for joining us again. Our listeners are very aware of some of the things that you and Michelle have experienced in the past, and for any listeners who are not aware, you have 6 episodes of a life story of things that you have endured in life, and you have been able to maintain a focus through all of this, and you are an inspiration to those of us who just need the hope that we too can overcome. But you've been very eloquent in explaining to many of our listeners just what it takes from your perspective to do that. And Corey, our listeners are very interested in your perception of distractions, and that term is a very broad topic, but my observation is that there are a lot of people who are distracted. They may not even know it, but I'm putting the term distraction in the context of a lack of focus. They are maybe chasing the proverbial shiny object. They are pursuing different things that, well, maybe let me try this, and they're in whatever for a short time that, well, that didn't work, so let's try something different. And maybe after trying some number of things, they just give up. But it's people like you, your wife, Michelle, that you, from my perception, have been able to maintain a focus, and you may have had to overcome a lot of potential distractions, but you seem to have a focus. And I think our listeners can learn from your and Michelle's story just how you're able to maintain a focus to achieve a very specific objective. Corey, over to you. We're very interested in any observations you have.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's always interesting to see which way this conversation goes, Marty. And also, I just wanted to say that there's a lot that I think I can share today with the listening audience to help them understand why I have the focus I do, and my wife as well. And I can reflect back on a couple things to kind of give you an idea and this, you might be able to relate to this because in your life you've had to start over. And I think part of it is starting over. And so when I started out on this world, of course, first 11 years, we had everything we wanted. We had 7 televisions, we had 7 TVs, we had 7 cars. We had telephones in the bathroom. We had everything. We lived in the highest house on the hill in this area. I took my wife to that place 5 years ago, and I still think about it. Still one day even want to go buy that house because it was a dream house I lived in where everything was, in some ways, really good, but in other ways, maybe not so much. But when my parents got divorced and we lost everything and went to nothing and was on welfare for 7 years, so I got to really experience what it was like to be very poor, extremely poor, so poor that even today I'll pick up the pennies on the ground. Today, those are the shiny things I look for sometimes. Or I'll go to a thrift store to buy clothes because I know that I can get a good deal on some brand new shoes that people might just discard. So I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anyone else. I'm just trying to say that I still have that mentality ingrained in my mind. And so as I got older, I focused from age 11 to 18 on other things. I watched movies, but I didn't watch a lot of television shows and really try to get too ingrained into them. And by the time I was 18, I realized, hey, I got to really focus on my career. I don't have time for television. And so I really didn't get into television shows. There was a study that someone did on, of course, online. There's 100 shows, and how many of these shows have you watched in its entirety, or at least 10 episodes? Out of 100 shows listed, I only had seen 8 that I could say I saw more than 10 episodes of. And that's not a lot at all compared to what most people watch. So those distractions, I think, take a lot of time from people. And time is something you cannot get back. Time is something that people don't realize it's so important, and you have to use that time very wisely. So whenever I was 18 and 19, I opened my own business. Everything was great again. I had all this income coming in, and I had all this success, and it was really good for a couple of years. But then I crashed and burned. I lost it all again. And when I lost it on my own terms, I remember washing clothes in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning while I was in the Army, because that was the only time available to get the washer at the time. I remember to myself, I will never take anything for granted ever again. I'll never take it for granted. And I didn't care how many candles I had to burn at the end, even though I was running 2 schools and DJing at a nightclub, DJing on the radio, doing everything at 2021 just to make it all work, because I had this drive, because I just want to be successful. I could sleep 4, 5, 6 hours, and I would just go, go, go. So when I lost all that and I was washing those clothes, I said, I can't take this for granted. I got to eventually, when I move on, open my business again, I've got to start off small and try to be, focused on the goal of trying to eventually get to where I'm at right now. And I just always had in the back of my mind, I got to keep pursuing these goals. I make these small goals and keep pursuing them. And even though I would get done with my work at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, I miss a lot of television shows because they come on earlier than that. So I didn't get sucked into those television shows. Now, there's something I learned along the way in between when I closed my business, that first time when I crashed and burned, and before I went into the military. And this really helped me understand the psychology of why people buy things. And I was a Kirby vacuum salesman for 4 months. And I realized how manipulative people can be by selling to them, how easy it was for some people to be able to sell something, while me, I was just trying to show them the product. I had this friend. He was such a good salesman that whenever we went into this house one time, there was a Hispanic family that was there. And I wanted to throw him off his game because this guy could sell $10,000 of vacuums a month, and that's not playing around. He really did sell $10,000. He made $10,000 because he sold like a lot more than that. But we were in this house, and he's having this conversation with his family. And I said something that should really mess up any salesman's pitch and just destroy their ability to sell the vacuum right then. And I said this. I said, do you really think they're going to buy the vacuum from you? And then he turns around and looks at me and says, they're going to buy this vacuum even if I have to shove it down their throat. And he looked at me and smiled, looked back at them, winked at them, and they bought the vacuum. And so when I was in the training of the sell this vacuum, we learned some interesting things about why people buy. And these are the 5 reasons why people buy. Want, need, pride, love, and fear. So I fall in the category of need first. You buy what you need, not what you want. You buy the necessities so you can get by. Now, there's all this talk about other ways of making money and all that stuff. That's a different conversation. But we need to keep focused on these 5 things. So people buy because they need it. It's a necessity. So those are the basic things you have to have. And then there's the wants, the luxuries. Your cell phone's a luxury, still is. But it's a necessity. It's both. But before it was a luxury. So you have to think about how you can communicate in this world. What do you have to make things work? Computer, yes. Internet, yes. Phone, make really internet, yes. If you have those things, you can get by in this world at this point. Now, pride is the person that would buy the big screen television, put the box in the front porch. When people drive by, they see the big box, so everyone knows you got a big screen TV. Now, everyone knows that's not a good idea these days because you get robbed. But people would do that, or they have the shiny new truck or whatever. So that's the pride, okay? Then you have love. Love is De Beers. Diamonds are forever. So De Beers, diamond company, they would use that diamonds are forever. And people don't realize this, but the country of Russia has billions of diamonds. Not billions of dollars in diamonds, billions of diamonds. So it's only released at a certain amount across the world. So that way the price stays where it's at. It's all control. And then the last is fear, is whenever people that try to sell you something, here's an example we were told, is that there was a company that would go into your house and try to sell you this fire prevention, fire alarm system. So they would show you a video of a house burning down, and they would use that fear to try to get you to buy. So there's a lot of different things that I'm telling you right now that you can already see in the news, on TV, that will fit all these boxes. You can check all these boxes for each of these categories. And you have to realize, where do you fall in those? Do you fall into all categories? Are you a more necessity type kind of person? Are you prioritizing what's important and taking care of those things like you should in a type of manner? So shiny things do look pretty, but they all tarnish and they all turn to dust eventually. I think what people need to focus on is what is in front of them. They have family, focus on that. They need to focus on their career. They need to think outside the box. They don't have to always go back to college to have a good career. They can find a trade. And I think the other thing is to help people get to where they want to be in this time, you have to have multiple sources of income. A millionaire has 7 sources of income, 7 different sources. And here's something else about your habits. We have a lot of different topics here, but habits are very, very important on determining how you're spending your money. Like, for example, getting that coffee or getting that frappuccino every day, you go to Starbucks or whatever, that does add up to more than you think. I have a problem. My problem is I like to eat good food, and I eat out a lot. But if you have good food, then you can live good. You can feel good. So that's the only reason why I dedicate a lot of money to food, because I want to make sure my body is fed correctly, properly, with the right energy so I don't feel sluggish. So that's, for me, it's a necessity. But here's something I do as well, is I make my own coffee, because that is one of the secrets to becoming a millionaire, is you don't go buy the coffee at any of these places. You make your own cup of coffee. It's 10 cents a cup versus $2 a cup. So you're saving 20 times the money by just making your own coffee. And that could be said for making your own food and your own dinners. And so I think we have to get back to the basics in order to be able to flourish. And we need to stop focusing on all these different things and try to hone in on what is our goals, what is our purpose, and then we have to drive our energy towards those.
You are very articulate in describing several things that I think are very operative, Corey. One is purpose. You spoke about that. I believe it was in episode 4. It's either 3 or 4. But I am wondering, Corey, your perception of wants, needs, priorities, values, and so forth. I'm a believer, Marty and I both, that everything worthwhile is uphill. Nothing worthwhile that will sustain for a period of time, it will be easy. Some people are willing to give up early in life. COVID might be a reason, no, it's not a reason, it's an excuse for some people to be isolated. I'm not accomplishing what I want, it's just too hard. So therefore, I'll isolate, and maybe nobody will know that I'm failing. Now, I'm overexpressing it only a little bit, but I think those are some attitudes that some people have. I'm wondering your perception if we have an intentional effort to focus on our priorities, focus on our needs, and those kind of things, will that help us have the desire to do whatever we have to do, whether you call it sacrifice or whether it's just a focus to climb the hill to accomplish what it is we need? Very interested in your perception because, Corey, you're living that life.
I am living that life, and I'll give you a story that I used to give to all white belts that I heard from an old master. And he would say this: there's 2 roads you can take. And it's very interesting because this talks about the mindset. And I never knew that this story was going to turn into a mindset conversation. So here's what it is. There's 2 roads, and this is exactly how it was told to me. And the one road is a mountain, and there's broken glass, and you're barefoot. But you have to climb it because there's a prize at the end. You have no idea what it is. Then there's another road. This road is windy and it's paved. And it's easy. And you also don't know what the prize is at the end of that road. But you have 2 different roads you can take. Which road do you take and why? So you ask yourself that question. And you might think, well, wait a second. My feet will get cut up on that broken glass. I don't know about that. So I think I'm going to take the windy road. That's the logic of a lot of people because pain is not something that they want to face. They want the easier route. And so here's the mindset of kids from the late 1990s, because I'd ask this question. And I would say about 80% would say they would take the mountain because they knew then what that meant. They understood the analogy. But when I've asked that question over the years, the answer has shifted to the other side, where people will take the windy road. And I ask them, why? And one of the most interesting answers I've ever had was this kid said, because it's more efficient. Because you can, and I was thinking, wow, I never thought of it that way. That's a different mindset. However, this is what I've noticed with people that come into my place today. It doesn't matter now if the kid has special needs or not. It doesn't matter if the kid is 5 or 10. The vast majority of children still don't know left and right, cannot do their age in push-ups, cannot do their age in sit-ups, don't know how to do a sit-up. So what's happened is we've taken the children of this generation and we've failed them on purpose. We've taken away their play. We've taken away them being able to express themselves. And we've threatened them with all these things like, oh, if you do this, then you're going to get in trouble for this. And they're not letting kids be able to get that energy out because they know. A lot of people know that if kids are able to play and act like they are supposed to act, then they're going to learn coordination and balance. And there's a guy who has a thing called Fit Kid. And I'm going to get plugged to him because he's got the right idea. His dissertation for his doctorate is going to be on play and how powerful play is for children. Here's the problem: when they come to my school, they want to play already. They need the structure and the confidence and then the discipline. And because my place has more discipline, not everyone wants to be here. Now, I know you can't make everyone happy. However, I know people will take the easier route because they might think that might be better. Let my child play more and then come back when they're older. But what they don't realize is that behavior that they see that's really small is going to manifest over time because it's going to become out of control. Now, we can't fix everything. That's not the point. The point is we have to have a community, help the community. So these children need to step it up. We need to help them step it up to a higher level, or a level that was just a bare minimum. And so when these children grow up, they're also stifled when it comes to creativity, and they're not praised for thinking outside the box. And what we've done with the school systems, I believe, is made everyone a follower and not leaders. And the reason why this is the case for the past 20, 30 years, if not longer, is because the corporations don't want to have competition. Okay, so that's getting into a different subject. However, it comes back to society and the way we think. So we're in our houses. We can't do anything, right? Well, that is the absolute lie to yourself and excuse. And the reason why I know that's the truth is I've seen people that took that time and decided to focus on what they wanted to do. And then they started researching. They started making a plan. Then they started making mini steps. That way they could make those goals happen. It didn't matter what it was. They figured out how to do something. I saw a lady just yesterday on TikTok who started her own business. It took 8-9 months of hard work, designing everything, the product, the bottles, the labels, everything. But she did it, and she's successful. Yet she stuck to it, though. She persevered, and she didn't give up. And that is what you have to have, is that mindset. You can't have the mindset that you cannot give up. If you fall 7 times, you stand up 8. Just do it, like Nike would say. Have the eye of the tiger like Rocky. You should play Eye of the Tiger. You should listen to it. It'll motivate you. It'll get you going. You got to play things that's going to inspire you in a positive way and focus on those things and get up and get off your butt and go to work, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get where you want to be. And it's all uphill until you can get finally to the top of that mountain. And then when you get to the top of the mountain, you can look at all the other mountains, because there's more mountains to climb. You just haven't visited them yet.
Talk to us about self-talk, self-affirmation in the context of, I use the term frequently, mental toughness, to overcome whatever the obstacle is, to, as you described, step it up, to overcome, to continue climbing the hill. Is there an aspect of self-affirming, self-talk that can help motivate you to achieve whatever it takes to endure whatever it is you're going through?
Yes, we have a series on my YouTube channel called Our Little Big Shot. And to be a little big shot, you have to say, yes, I can. If you utter the words can't naturally, like just in conversation when you're like learning something, then it disqualifies you from being a little big shot, because you've already said those negative words in your own mind. And when you say I cannot do something verbally, your brain hears that, your ears hear that, you're re-compounding that negativity in your own mind. So you have to say, oh, yes, I can, or I can do it. It's better to say I can do it than I'll try. Because if you say I'll try, then if you don't succeed, you're like, well, I tried. You have to have the attitude, I'm going to do this. And sometimes telling yourself is not enough to get you to follow through. That's me. I have to sometimes tell people I'm going to do something before I do it. And the reason why I do that is to get my own self moving. And I think that's just kind of sad in a way, because that's what I've done before, but I don't do that anymore. But at some point I did that, and I did that with my textbook. Because I said, I have a textbook coming. I have a textbook. I did plenty of promotions before it all came out, but it didn't really matter because I didn't do all the right things to make it really become more of a success, because I didn't do my research. on things. So there's things that I still have to work on too in order to be successful. That doesn't stop. Even though I'm at a certain level, I'm still thinking about how to go further. It's not all about money, though. It's about setting up other people to become successful in their life. For example, there's a guy that's young. He's about my age when he started teaching. He wants to open a dojo one day. And he told his parents, he was like, I want to open a dojo one day. And his parents said, oh, well, you better go to college and get that business degree. And I looked at him and I said, I said his name. I go, I don't have a college degree. And I have a dojo. So I'm trying to show him it can be done another way. Just because people think you have to go one route, you don't have to go that route. So family confirming or saying you can do something is a motivator. That support is better of a motivator. But you telling yourself that you can do something and you just prove it to yourself that you can do it first. Don't prove it to other people. You prove it to yourself. And when you prove it to yourself, you just did what you said you're going to do. And people follow people that do things, not people that say they're going to do. So it's really important to understand that and be that person where you're going to say, I'm going to do this. And if you have that attitude every day and look in the mirror and say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it, then you're going to get in the right mindset. And we just heard someone talk recently about having no bad days. And that's really something I can relate to. But instead of saying that, I would say, all right, let's go get it. Or, all right, let's do it. And that is infectious. Because when I teach classes, I try to be energetic. I try to really bring out the students. And if they don't bring the energy, I bring it. But if they bring it, I don't have to bring it because they already brought it. So I hope that helps.
I want to pursue what you said just a little bit ago about the words, I'll try this. For me, that is a built-in excuse. That is, we can say, well, I tried it, it did not work, and it almost incorporates the mindset that I can't do it. And if we say rather than I'll try it, think into it critically. I will do this. You mentioned that. I will do this. Now, the person who is able to think critically into the statement, I will do this, is, for me, how do we tailor the I will do this statement to me? What do I need to overcome through action, which is a very operative term? What do I need to overcome through action to achieve my goal? When I have that mental toughness, when I have that mindset, when I'm surrounded by people who will continuously encourage me to keep going, I believe that I will overcome any obstacle that's out in front of me. I think that's what you were saying just moments ago.
Yes, it is. And let me tell you something. Not everything is rosy because there's people that do not have that support system. And in fact, it's almost the exact opposite. And the reason why it's the exact opposite is because the people that might be in that household doesn't know how to support them. So it kind of stifles that person's ability until they get out of that house. And when they get out of that house and they turn an adult, then they can somehow breathe. So there's people that are really going through that emotional state, and that's a real thing. I want to share with you that there's different levels of chances of success. And these are the words starting at the lowest at 0% and going to 100%. So if you say, I won't do something, you have no chance of succeeding. I can't, it's at 10%. And that word is used so much that we have to obliterate that from a vocabulary. A news station that came to my facility at my old location before COVID, around 2018-19, they interviewed us, and they even said on the newscast that we banned the word can't at the dojo, and it's true. We don't want people to have that mindset at all. 20% chance if you say, I don't know how. And if you notice these, like I wish I could is 30%, I want to is 40%. They're all an escape hatch. You have an escape hatch on every one of those. You have a way to get out without having to fulfill, without having to go through with something. 50% chance is I think I might. 60% chance is I might do it. 70% chance is I think I can. So if you notice that 70% comes back to the but you think. When you say, I think I can, you're already in the right direction. And then when you say, I can, then you convince yourself you can do something. And then if you say, I am going to do something, that's 90% chance of doing it. And then if you said, I did it, of course, done it. So you have to figure out, what words are you using? When you're having conversations about your goals, how do you put that in context? Do you say, I want to do that, but I can't? Wow. If you say something like that, you're already defeating yourself already. You haven't even tried. You haven't even took the first step. And so there's no way you can be successful if you have that attitude. So your success is directly tied to your attitude, and your attitude determines your altitude.
Let's bring this in for a landing by helping our listeners to a call to action. For those who are listening and just say, man, I just need some encouragement to overcome the stuff that I'm facing, what would you say is a call to action that maybe incorporates attitude, priorities, values, mindset, and so forth?
Ooh, that's a tough question to answer, because that comes back to almost like experience. Your experiences determine your actions. You know, it's really tough to be successful if you're a dumb person in this world. You know, I think someone said something along the lines of that. And you have to, I believe, be honest with yourself. You have to understand what you want to do. Make the clear plan to make that happen. I know that's really vague, but we're talking about a vast variety of people here. So the mindset is like this. This is going to sound pretty scary, but you have to think this. What is the worst thing that can happen to me other than death? And I think most people would say homelessness. Okay, so that's on the table. Okay, if that's on the table coming soon, you have to figure out a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. You have to minimize your expenses. You have to figure out how to bring in extra income so you can survive. And I think a lot of people are facing that right now. They're trying to figure out how to survive. They're maybe facing addiction. I know there's an extension on things, but there's money out there to support you, to help you. You have to know where to go and look for it, though. But it's more limited if you're not a business owner. So you have to rely on other people to help you be able to overcome whatever obstacle that you're dealing with. But like I said before, it comes back to understanding where you could be and where you don't want to be and what steps you have to take so that doesn't happen.
I'll just summarize. A call to action, I think, is the attitude, I will overcome. In the second part of this is, if I'm uncertain how to sort through stuff I'm going through, my determination of I will overcome will help me have the motivation to find the right person, the right people to help me sort through and take the action I need to overcome, while these people will also give me the encouragement to overcome. Corey, you're a great inspiration. I appreciate, on behalf of our listeners, your insight, and I'm hoping that our listeners will want to share exactly what it is they have overcome so that we can encourage each other.
Yes, sir. It's an honor to be on, as always, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Corey. We hope you'll want to share with us any distractions you have encountered. How have you recognized a distraction, and how did you overcome the various life distractions? I'm convinced that some people are so distracted then they have been in that life routine for such a time that they are not even able to realize the distractions they have. Corey recorded an episode where he talked about life purpose. We have other episodes where people have talked about a life purpose. I want to encourage you to take an introspective look. Just separate yourself and have some thinking time to review very deeply, introspectively, where you are in life, the priorities you have. Let me encourage you to take a look at your daily schedule. Perhaps consider noting in 15-minute increments just what you do. Look at your checkbook, see where your money is going. Those two are pretty high indicators of where your priorities are, where your focus is, and just where you are in life. You may or may not want to change anything, but those are two good indicators of how life is with you. Let me encourage you to set aside all distractions. Get yourself in a room. Could be by yourself, but it could be with an accountability partner. And look at your expenditures, look at your time allocation, and just see how life is for you. You may find that after taking that introspective look, that you have priorities of which you were not even aware, priorities by virtue of time spent during the day, money spent. Take a look at your credit card statement, see where money is going, and take that look as to where life is for you. I have experienced with other people and myself that we are targets of distractions because we just insidiously allow things to happen, and we don't align our life priorities, our daily schedule, necessarily with a life purpose, our life strategic goals, and so forth. I may sound very mechanical, but if you were to take the time to devise a written life purpose, that you take the time to define your values, your priorities, that when you do that, you'll find that you're able to keep a better focus. It's easier to avoid what we call the shiny object syndrome, that is to be distracted by the next fancy that comes up that can easily distract us from the life purpose. I will acknowledge that there are many of us who are engaged in activities. Many of the things we do are good, but do they align with the life purpose and what our longer term objectives are, the passions in our life, the life skills we have? Is everything in line? Do we have a harmony in life? Many of us do not have that harmony because we're drifting, we're downwind, we've allowed events, activities to control our life. We just need to drop back with our families, if you're married, your dating relationship, wherever you are in life, and evaluate your priorities to determine if everything is in harmony, everything is in line. Coaching is a discipline that's not well understood, but can help people to align their priorities, their life. There are many things that occur throughout life that keep us from doing what we know we are designed to do, what we can function best at. But there are things in our life that could be things said about us, could be past life failings, that any number of things that are keeping us from achieving our full potential. Let's talk about this. Let's get together. Let's share with each other. Let's share in the comment section. Let's share by calling us at 410-586-1875 or send an email to ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, @thecooperculture.com. The more we share with each other, the greater we can advance each other by learning and passing on life lessons that we have learned how to overcome. We have learned how to work with others. In doing so, we are showing each other we care. We want to do what we can to help each other advance through life distractions and live a life that is designed with God's purpose in mind, what we were created to do. Let's share with each other. We look forward to working with you.